media.
Well. Chrystia Freeland has done it again. Of course, she's stepped up to show Canadians that once again she has no qualifications to be Deputy Prime Minister or Minister of Finance in this country, as she holds a press conference just minutes ago in Newfoundland and Labrador talking about the Housing Accelerator Fund and homes being built in this country. Now, they talked about, when they dropped the budget, a very large number of homes being built in Canada by 2030. Of course, we all know that this is nothing more than hot air. We know that it's not going to be met and it's not going to be done. And Chrystia Freeland, again, showing us in this press conference, she has no clue what she's talking about or what she's bringing to the table as Deputy Prime Minister. Now, again, it's all word salad, ladies and gentlemen, but it just goes to show you, especially as we start getting into summer months, and again, campaign seasons are going to start to pick up, especially when everybody takes their leave from the House of Commons. I would anticipate that both Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre will be heading all over Canada throughout the summer to promote their upcoming election for 2025. This is the stuff to remember. Not that anybody who watches this channel votes for the left, but it's important to remember results versus words. Now, a really great viewer had a comment earlier today that said, I don't rely on the words of politicians, but rather the actions. And that is especially what needs to be regarded here, as Chrystia Freeland shows once again just how out of touch and ridiculously uneducated, I'm going to say, she is. I got to be somewhat suitable when I talk about these things. I mean, the Wicked Witch of the WEF has no clue what she's doing. Let's listen briefly to what she was talking about and then how it maliciously backfired in her face. Here we go.
I am so happy to be here with the great people from Donovan Homes. It is so exciting to look behind us and to know that they told me it's going to be 18 to 24 months before it's done, but I'm going to say do it in 18, okay? So in 18 months, 24 families will have a beautiful home here. How wonderful.
In 18 months, 24 families are going to have homes here. Is that really what we're talking about? When people like Sean Fraser sat in committee meetings saying that the Housing Accelerator Fund essentially doesn't build houses. Of course, this is all it is. It's a photo op. That's why we're having a press conference about it, because the Liberals are out talking about how great they're doing at building nothing. 18 months for 24 homes. First off, that's a long stretch. They're saying 24 months originally. Now, my estimate, especially when you look at homes or you look at any construction project, is you kind of treat it like people use human years to dog years, where if they say 18 months, it's more or less 36. You easily have to double it. The costs will go up. Material costs will, of course, go up with inflation. And these homes are going to turn into money pits for that economy, not necessarily for what you would pay out west versus out east, but for that economy. It's going to have a negative effect on what people can do. 24 homes in 24 months, a house a month. Now, when they talk about 3 million homes by 2030, there's far less than 3 million months between now and then. They're not going to meet their targets. They're not even going to come close. They're not going to do a fraction. Justin Trudeau talked about things he was going to do 8 years ago that he's just getting to now. This is absurd. But for the most part of the word salad of that conference, where it really shows where they're out of touch is when they get to the questions at the end. And this again just shows, as Chrystia Freeland looks like she's holding in a fart there, what's coming ahead from what we can expect from the Liberal government. Here we go.
So the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation says that in Newfoundland and Labrador, we need to build 60,000 new homes over the next 6 years, so about 10,000 starts each year. And historically here, it's only been about 3,300 in the best year of construction yet, according to the Home Builders Association. I know you've put a lot of money into housing in the budget. You've got a lot of ambitious plans, but how do you, in reality, meet those goals, given historically we haven't even touched that number yet?
Look, thank you for the question, and I think it is exactly the right one. I think the issue is supply, supply, supply. And I think every day we have to get more and more and more ambitious on housing. In the budget, we put forward a plan to build nearly 4 million homes in Canada. That is a lot. It's a more ambitious plan than we have ever seen. I think the key to it is what you're seeing today, which is all levels of government working together and government and the private sector working together. What you're seeing today is the federal government has taken action that made today possible with the HST, with CMHC, with the Housing Accelerator Fund. We're seeing the municipality really stepping up and moving faster. We're working closely with the province. And then, most importantly, the people who do the actual building are stepping up here and building things. But of course, we have to keep on going. We have to do more faster. That's what we're going to continue to do. What you've seen in the budget is a really ambitious plan. I would say a plan of unprecedented ambition for Canada.
Well, I'm going to stop it right there, because what she says there is it is unprecedented, and it is unprecedented ambition. And that is an understatement. Of course, this reporter again asked the right question, and we'll skip the rest of the word salad because, of course, Chrystia Freeland is going to deflect. That's what she's the queen of doing, next to, ruthlessly spending. But of course, what is discussed here is that the number of homes that they've said they're going to build versus what's needed in order to meet demand are two separate entities, and one that the Canadian government, of course, is not going to come close to meeting because there's too much bureaucracy and red tape tied up in builders actually getting homes started. This is a woman standing out in Newfoundland today to tout that they're working with a builder to build 24 homes. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that that's not going to be the total number of homes that are being built. There's other developers, there's other projects strawn out amongst that city or town or along the province. But what we're talking about here is her being proud of 24 home starts for houses that are going to be overpriced, that only certain individuals are going to have the right to attain, and you'll own nothing and be happy. She can't answer an honest question. She can't even, all she does is trip over her feet when she answers those questions because, again, she shows how clueless she is by not acknowledging we're not doing our job. She said it point blank. We have to build faster. We have to build more ambitiously. It's not going to happen under the Liberal government. They have no concern with it. Let's continue.
Can I ask about changes to the capital gain tax? And, we've heard from local physicians that they're concerned about how this will impact recruitment and retention when we have doctor shortages in Newfoundland and Labrador and across the country. What do you say to them right now?
Well, look, I would start by talking about what the objective of our budget is, what the mission of our budget is. And our budget is about fairness for all Canadians, about giving all Canadians, especially younger Canadians, millennials and Gen Z, a real opportunity to have a middle class life. And we know that requires investments. It requires investments in housing. It requires investments in affordability. It requires investments in economic growth. And so to make those investments, we need to find a way to finance them. And what we're saying in the budget is we're asking those in our country who are doing the best to contribute a little bit more. And that really is fair, because today we have a tax system where you can be a nurse, you can be a carpenter. I met a carpenter earlier today, and you can pay tax at a higher marginal rate than a multimillionaire. That isn't fair. And it is fair to ask those who are succeeding the most, and I'm so glad they are succeeding, but to say, contribute a little bit more so your neighbors, so younger Canadians can have a good life too.
Well, she couldn't be more wrong in that statement, and I'm going to get into why she's wrong, because first off, she's talking about a tax that actually pushes and deters investment in our country. The rich who she's talking about that should just pay a little bit more, well, they're not going to. Let's be honest. They're able to hide their money. They're able to put it in other banks. They're able to leave the country if they want to, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to take their investments and move it to other markets where their money works for them in better places. This is no secret when it comes to the world of investment or the world of running a business or a multi-billion-dollar corporation. This is how they are able to stay in business. This is why companies like Walmart or even Amazon are able to offer the supposed deals that they give people, is because they're good at hiding money. They're good at moving it around and going where their dollar is more powerful and works for them. And Canada right now is not that place. For anybody who holds stocks or investment portfolios, even your pension plan is now becoming more and more worthless because Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau, which she's acknowledging here, are asking fairness and saying, well, you should just pay a little bit more. At a time when that gets moved on to the consumer, especially when you talk about the Westons, when you talk about massive grocery chains, including Metro Inc., I'm not going to leave them out, or any retail outlet that essentially deals with things like carbon taxes, overhead costs, pushing on those costs to the consumer. At the end of the day, we're the ones suffering from these capital gains taxes for them to do a little bit more, which of course she has also acknowledged in this press conferences that they're doing very little to combat that. Not only that, but on the heels of the great question from this journalist who asks about doctors in the country. Again, doctors are the start of this, where we're already having a massive shortage in healthcare, a massive shortage in available doctors, because they don't see the need to come to Canada when they're going to be essentially working for free. And that's the biggest problem. As somebody living in Calgary who's had the same family doctor for 20 plus years, my doctor gave his notice last September because he was essentially told he had to go for retraining and work for essentially next to nothing for the next 2 years, or retire early and give up his practice. Now, of course, he looked at the stress. He looked at the fact that I, as a patient, have to book 2 months in advance just to go and get a prescription refilled or sit with my doctor, and said, listen, I can't do this anymore. I can't work under these guidelines anymore. I'm going to have to shut down my practice and retire and call it a day. And many doctors are doing that. Now, he gave us notice last September, and I can tell you in Calgary right now, I am still actively searching for a family doctor, and our time is running out, much like many, many others across this country that are losing their healthcare professionals. And I understand that that is a provincial matter, that's provincial funding that comes from the federal government. But when you do things like the capital gain tax increases, this is where we run into issues when it comes to investment in Canada's future. Now, again, Chrystia Freeland has shown very well in this press conference just how out of touch she is, just how this housing accelerator fund and the touting of Liberals saying we're going to build more homes, trying to take a page out of Pierre Poilievre's book, is ultimately going to fail in epic proportions in mass fashion. And I, for one, can't wait to see it blow up in their face come election time. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Leave me your thoughts. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. While you're clicking that button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. Join us live every Friday here on the channel for Friday Night Fringe at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, where we go over things like this and talk about all the good stuff coming up next week and have some back and forth within our community. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you there and hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.